Hello, everyone. It's Pam Esquire, also known as your law intellect. Welcome, 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 and welcome to those that are coming in to watch the replay. Speak to me as you come in. Hey, Ray Bishop. Hey, Alice. Michi, me. I see all of you guys. You must have got your notifications. Hey, Harper, Shelly Pender. How's everybody doing? Saw you guys over there on Jive's platform. We had us a good old time over there. Hey, woman of grace and power, Ruby, Patricia, y'all coming in pretty quick. Hey, Casey. Mm. Hello, 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 hello. I hope everybody is doing well this Thursday. You guys have been shouting for me to come back on because the indictment came down and they let us see it yesterday. But I was tired. You know, I did two lives yesterday. I usually don't do more than two a week. So, so doing it like three times, I was a little stretch, but I heard everybody say they were trying to figure out why this was a federal case. So I'm going to try my best to explain. Hopefully, I don't confuse you even more. Hey, Jess Coco. Yes, you guys, please hit the like button. Yes, it's free. Everybody, as you come in, see, I should have about 52 likes right now. Hey, thank you. Hey, Alicia. Hey, Miss Renee. Glad you made it into the live. Glad you got your notification. So yeah, I hope some of the people that emailed me about where I was at so I can go over this indictment and they wanted the big question I've been asked is why is this a federal case as it pertains to the robbery with Whitehead. They talking about it's a hate crime. Who said it's a hate crime? Cuz that I don't know about all that. Let's see. Hey Simone. Oh, no problem. It's getting a little bit complicated, so we'll try to break it down and we'll have to do it together because honestly, I don't even do criminal law anymore. And then when I did do it, I probably only had a handful of federal criminal law. I do federal civil currently, but the few that I've done were a lot more straightforward than what's happening in this case. So yes. I'm glad you caught the live too. Oh, I'm sorry I didn't interfered in your conversations, Alice. Oh, that was KC. I just interrupted in your conversation with Miss Sonia. I didn't see the update. Could you tell me briefly what's in the update? Did they find the third robber? And I'll wait for your comment. But yeah, I didn't see any update. I didn't even look for any updates. If you could type that kind of fast on what the update is. So everybody wants to know why it's federal. First, I am going to show you why the New York, the NYPD said it was federal. And then we can go a little bit deeper. Y'all gonna have me doing some real heavy lifting on today, trying to go over this. So to make a long story short, the short version of it, I guess I should say, is because they have jurisdiction under the Hobbs Act. Now, to understand what the Hobbs Act is and why they allow you to federalize certain crimes that are state, because in theory, we don't want to usurp state power. So that's what everybody was saying was like it's robberies all the time. So why the heck would this be federal when there's robberies all the time, which is a legit question. However, under the Commerce Clause, if you are familiar with the Constitution, Under the Commerce Clause, anything that has to do with interstate commerce, Congress has some form of authority. So what they did was they criminalized certain crimes. Well, federalized. I shouldn't say criminalized, already criminal. They federalized certain crimes that deal with interstate commerce. So we're going to thank you for the cash app. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. So let's see what they say at first. But yeah, this is gonna be this is gonna be a deep live. So let's.
I'd like to update you on occurred on Sunday, July 24th at 11:50 a.m. at 922 Remsen Avenue during a church service in which three males wearing all black and ski masked entered the location while Pastor Lamar Whitehead and his wife Asia were preaching. Two of the males proceeded to the stage, displayed a firearm, and demanded his property and jewelry. His wife, who was sitting to the left of the stage, also was robbed of her jewelry at gunpoint. A total of $1 million in jewelry was taken. This incident was being live streamed on Facebook and lasted approximately 1 minute and 30 seconds. Investigators from the Brooklyn Robbery Squad and our federal task force Sparta, consisting of NYPD detectives and ATF agents, were able, through various investigative means consisting of video and electronics tracking, were able to identify these perpetrators. On Thursday, September 22nd, these three individuals were indicted by the Eastern District of the U.S. Attorney's Office. Today, September 28th, members of the NYPD and ATF executed arrest warrants. Arrested was Juwan Anderson, 24-year-old male of 20 Monroe Avenue in Brooklyn. He has two prior arrests in July of 2020 for a domestic violence assault misdemeanor, and earlier in this year in January for an unlicensed operator. Second male was arrested and taken into custody is Saquon Pollock, 24-year-old male of 1414 Bergen Avenue in Brooklyn. He has 7 prior arrests, all from 2015, 1 for disorderly conduct. He also has 6 counts of robbery, all occurring in October and November of 2015. They were part of a borough pattern robbery, street robberies, which he was sentenced to 5 years in jail. He also was arrested in August of 2020 in Nassau County, and in Pennsylvania, he has a warrant out him for criminal possession of marijuana. A third individual we have identified, but we will not be releasing his name at this time. Both were arrested and charged with a Hobbs Act robbery, which is robbery in the first degree. With that, we'll take any questions.
State your name and your media outlet, please. I'll point you out. Class 4. Just about the bishop robbery, was any of the jewelry recovered? And has the bishop been cooperating with the investigation?
The jewelry has not been recovered, and the pastor has cooperated fully with this investigation.
Next.
Do you know why the pastor was targeted in particular?
Well, if you look, there's a pattern throughout the city, throughout the last few years, high-end jewelry robberies being targeted. The pastor live streams, he has high-end jewelry robberies, so we suspect it's that.
What was the decision-making process? How did you go federal?
You guys listen, this is the question about the federal.
Well, I mean, we use the federal statute. Nick, you could talk about this? Yeah.
Yeah, so how I am Inspector Nicholas Fiore from Central Robbery Division. So we have a joint robbery task force that we utilize at a Central Robbery Division, which partners with the ATF task force, where we utilize Eastern and Southern District on very violent cases. And what's called Hobbs Act robbery, where we get, especially with a firearm, we get the best bang for our buck. We get a 10-year minimum on a robbery with a firearm. and that's the best place where we saw this. A very, very violent robbery crew that we saw with no regard to anybody going in the middle of mass, holding a child at gunpoint. That's a pretty rough robbery. So that's where we decided to take it that way.
If a robbery fits the statute, we use it as a tool. We do it many times.
The third person's still being sought, right? He's not in custody.
No, he's not in custody. He's being sought.
The two who were arrested, they abandoned their homes.
They were both, yes, they were both arrested at their addresses that I gave.
Any other questions on these two cases? Okay, we'll go off topic now, Rocco.
She got this.
Okay, so based on what the NYPD said and the gentleman that tried to explain that question, they did it under the Hobbs Act. And whenever it's a violent type of a crime, they try to do it under the Hobbs Act, which allows them and gives them jurisdiction. So they say whenever they can make it fit. And you're going to understand why they said whenever they can make it fit when we look at the actual Hobbs Act statute, and then we'll look at the indictment and see how they made it fit under the Hobbs Act. Okay, so let me see if I can pull it up for you guys. That's why I told you we about to be working today. It ain't gonna be let's see. Um So this is the Hobbs Act statute, 18 USC section 1951, interference with commerce by threats or violence. So you hear him say that we thought it was pretty dangerous for it to be a service. They had guns, as we know, and as the pastor, as Whitehead had continuously said, they held a gun to his kid's head. This is the first time I think that I've heard, maybe you guys have heard it, but this is honestly the first time I've heard someone saying that there was a gun to the baby's head outside of, Whitehead. So what the statute provides, and let me give my disclaimer. Well, I gave my disclaimer already. We're kind of going through this together to figure it out, because even when I did the few federal cases that I've done on the criminal side, they were way more straightforward than this. Okay. So it provides impertinent part, whoever in any way or degree obstructs, delays, or affects commerce or the movement of any article or commodity in commerce by robbery or extortion, or attempts or conspires to so do, or commits or threatens physical violence to any person or property in furtherance of a plan or purpose to do anything in violation of this section shall be fined under this title or imprisoned not more than 20 years or both. So you can get up to 20 years, and that's just for this specific statute. Let's go to the terms. They define what robbery is, means the unlawful taking or obtaining of personal property from the person or in the presence of another against his will by means of actual or threatened force or violence or fear of injury immediate or future to his person or property in his custody or possession, or the person or property of a relative or member of his family or of anyone in his company at the time of the taking or obtaining. So now we know that stuff was taken from the bishop, and we had jewelry that was taken from his wife. Okay. So we got to put a pin in that. We don't have to deal with extortion. I don't think that's an issue here. But the term commerce means commerce within the District of Columbia or any territory or possession of the United States. All commerce between any point in a state, territory, possession of the District of Columbia, any point outside thereof. All commerce between points within the same state through any place outside such states, and all other commerce over which the United States has jurisdiction. So that's why I said there's authority federally because you're dealing with commerce. So I know the question is, well, what type of commerce are we talking about here? Because this was at the church. It seems like the jewelry was taken specifically for specific persons, not necessarily the business. But technically, the Hobbs Act does require to interfere with interstate commerce, as we see in the statute. But if a person deprives a business of their money, which can later be used in commerce, that also can fall up under the Hobbs Act. So y'all with me so far? Just hit the thumbs up if you're with me so far. Yes, exactly. And we'll get to that when we get to the actual indictment. So let me know y'all with me, because there's a lot going on. And like I said, this is like me going to law school, breaking stuff down again, because I've never done anything under the Hobbs Act. But yeah. But that's the point. Okay, now let's go to the actual indictment, because somebody said, well, they didn't take offerings that day. So this is the indictment. So we have the relevant individuals and the entities. Now pay attention under here, because this is how they're telling us they have jurisdiction in this case. The church was a place of worship that held weekly services in Brooklyn, New York. Parishioners of the church could attend these services in person or virtually via live stream. Parishioners of the church included individuals from other states and other countries. Okay, interstate commerce is different states or foreign territories. During church service, the church solicited donations, that's money, and collected such payments via a cloud-based online payment system. Individual one, whose identity is known to the grand jury, was the founder and lead pastor of the church. We can presume who that is. Individual two, whose identity is known to the grand jury, was the spouse. We can presume who that is. The robbery. On or about July 24, 2022, the defendants, Jawan Anderson and Saquon Polak, also known as, quote, Saquon Polak, entered the church brandishing firearms, interrupting church services while individual one was at the pulpit. Individual two was seated nearby, and parishioners watched from the audience within the church and via the live stream. Anderson and Polak then stole jewelry and personal items from the persons of individual one and individual two. As a result of the criminal conduct of the defendants, and we have the names, also known as, I don't know why they always saying that for him, but okay. The church did not solicit donations on or about July 24th, 2022. So then it goes to the counts: Hobbs Act robbery conspiracy. The allegation contained in paragraph 1 through 5 are realleged and incorporated as they fully set forth in this paragraph. In or about July 22nd, July 2022, within the Eastern District of New York and elsewhere, the defendants, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally conspire to obstruct, delay, and affect commerce and the movement of articles and commodities in commerce by robbery, to wit, the robbery of jewelry and personal items from individual one and individual two during church services. Okay, and it pretty much says the same thing for count two. And then we already talked that it was a firearm. I was able to tell that on the last live without actually seeing the complaint, the indictment, but I told you guys I wouldn't have further information until I actually looked at the indictment. The allegations contained in paragraph 1 through 5 are realleged and incorporated on or about July 24th of 22 within the Eastern District of New York and elsewhere. The defendants, together with others, did knowingly and intentionally use and carry one or more firearms during and in relation to one or more crimes of violence, to wit, the crime charged in count two, and did knowingly and intentionally possess such firearms in furtherance of such crime of violence, which firearms were brandished. So they have the statutes that talk about brandishing firearms. I believe that's a 7-year. That's a 7-year by itself. And then it goes over to the criminal forfeiture, where basically if you have this, if you have the items, you have to return them and all of that good stuff. And then it's signed by the foreperson. So let's break this down, y'all. Somebody made the statement that no money was collected, and that's exactly what that's basically their argument, because under the Hobbs Act you've prevented money from being collected in the church, right? So that money would have been used for probably purchasing some other items. So that day it was imperative for them to say that no money was collected. So what they do is they have to make any type of a link or connection to interstate commerce in order to fall up under this statute. And it's very de minimis. Like it's very, very, the contacts, like I did read a couple of cases and the contacts are very like small almost. I mean, it's not everything, because there has been times where the defense attorneys have challenged it and said, no, this is just way too far attenuated for you to try to say that it falls up under the Hobbs Act. So oftentimes you'll see when it's a person, like say a lot of people were saying people in Brooklyn or New York, Brooklyn, New York, or other areas or surrounding them always get robbed. Fair argument. And they say it doesn't always go to federal court. So why is it this time? Oftentimes those robberies are in homes. It's more, what I've seen stick has been the ones with businesses. That's not to say that the government has not tried to stick it to persons or apply it to persons that were robbed in their home. But what you see more often than not is businesses, because it affects commerce. So say for instance, you go into J.C. Penney's. I don't even know if they still got J.C. Penney's, but you go into a store, say Walmart, you go in there and you go take something and you steal something personally from the cashier. You may not even take the money at that time from the cashier, but because you took it from the cashier, 9 times out of 10, people gonna leave. Like if I see a cashier get robbed, I'm not gonna stay there and keep shopping. So that's gonna interfere with them making money. They probably will close the business down. So that's gonna interfere with their money. So this is how they're kind of trying to connect it. That's what I was able to gather. You guys can say what you think, because I do not even profess to be an expert at this. But in looking at the statute and comparing it to how they worded it in order to fit it in, that was the way that I saw them fit it in. Now, I did have someone email me who emails me a lot of articles and stuff that's going on, who mentioned that also another reason, according to what he believed, was because in New York, they have the cash bond now. So if it was a state case, then he probably could have, well, no cash bail is what they call it. So if he went in for that in the state case, then he may have gotten out. And apparently that's happened to people before in high profile cases. And it's called an uproar, cause some form of an uproar in that area. So they try to use the Hobbs Act whenever they can. I'm not a part of New York, so I don't know if that's true or not true, but that was just another analysis that someone gave that I felt was a analysis to bring to you all as to why they believe that. For me, when I was looking at it, I was like, oh, okay, this is kind of, it's a stretch. It felt like a stretch to me. But that's for your defense attorneys to their defense attorneys if they choose to, because it sounds like they mentioned something about playing, which we can get into as well. Um, I'm sure that they will challenge it, because I would if I was a defense attorney, as to whether it's applicable or not. So let me go back to these comments, because y'all got me working today. I was like, I feel like I'm in law school. You guys asking me these questions. Woo. Okay. Let me see. I see Josh must be on her. Hey, Josh. Yes. We noticed the last name. Yeah. Well, his press release said 1 million. I think when he had to, what happens is you have to substantiate that. Like, where's your proof of what the amounts are and what you paid for? And maybe this is just a theory. This is not fact. maybe there was no ability for him to prove it. So he was just like, hey, 400. Okay, 100. I wonder what was the motivation or rationale to go this route. I hope I answered your question. I believe well, he said it in the live stream that we played before the NYPD in his press conference when he did the breaking news on all of the cases that were cracked that day. Because there was a few cases that he talked about aside from this one. This press conference wasn't just for this case. There was one on a sexual assault or something even before this one that he was telling the public. So I'm assuming this is something they do all the time, but they said it's because they can get the more bang for their buck, as if the minimum is 10 years. That's what they said. So we'll see what the actual, if they plea, we'll see what time they get. You said Lamar Whitehead's friendship with NYC mayor turned this into a federal case. That's a thought. I have seen this live from beginning to end. He never took offerings. Well, I guess he said it was prevented. I guess my thought process, honestly, is if you're collecting everything online, how is that stopped? Whether you leave the church or don't, like I pay my offering anyways. Like if you're a tither, you're gonna tithe, whether I go to church or not. If you're a seed sower, you're gonna sow your seed. So I wonder, like, did he have to prove that there were no offerings taken and this is what typically occurs? Or because if you're getting your money online, see, it seems like these young men were kind of strategic where they didn't touch anything that was related to the church. So that's why in my mind it was just like you robbed a person. You ain't really robbed the building, the business. And then also with it being a church, is that considered like from a commercial aspect for interstate commerce? Like it to me, it's just a lot of questions. Like I've seen where a church that has a daycare center, and now the daycare center has to close down because you've robbed it or something like that. Robbed the church that had a daycare center, and now people don't feel safe going back, and now you lose business. I can totally see that, but I was just a little, but in indictments, they only put the minimum a lot of times. So we won't know till the evidence really starts coming out. But I just wanted to like analyze this with you guys and just let you know, like it really is a jurisdictional thing that they have in federal court under the Hobbs Act. Now, again, their defense attorneys can challenge it, which is their job, and say, yeah, I don't know. Because I'm curious to see if it's any other church incidents like this where they've used this aside from, having other businesses within the church. That's what I'm trying to see. So Ray Bishop says, so basically, because the bishop got robbed at work, it's federal, even though the church wasn't robbed. That's what it's saying. Because somehow, okay, so you're robbed. Now people don't want to come. People not don't want to give. Allegedly, according to that, nobody gave that day because of the robbery. That money that could have been collected may have been to pay for the facility that he's in. It could have been used to purchase food. It could have been used, in commerce, like the money. And then, as you see, it has to be interstate. So it has to be more than one state. So that's why in the indictment, they had to be specific and say he has members from various states, which are those people that watch online more likely than not. So now you have interstate because you're getting money and stuff in from other jurisdictions, other states. Whew. That's why I told y'all this like got a little bit deep. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try. Hopefully it makes it make a little bit more sense. And maybe as more information comes out, we can get better clarification on it. You're probably right. You said Whitehead said that, but he also said he doesn't take money from the church. Yeah, but they take offerings. Like we know they take offerings. And then he does have to pay for the facility that he's in. I mean, if you got average his little backdrop in the back. He had to pay for that. I mean, I don't know what his, what he has to pay for every month related to this church. And they use guns. Yes, it has to be a violent type of a crime. Like the statute, like all the partnered statutes with it, because I'm not going to bore you with that, because it's a lot of statutes they list in the indictment if you notice it. Where it talks about, one statute talks about penalty, one talks about the other brandishing guns. There are a lot of statutes that they mention within the indictment. But yeah, it has to be a violent type of a crime. And like he said, if you put a gun to a baby's head, then how much more violent can you get? I believe this is still basis for a charge against Whitehead. By elevating this robbery and the penalties, the feds can pressure the defendants to admit whether the act was staged. I'm curious because if you guys, first and foremost, if you watch the press conference, he said he didn't know these individuals. My experience with people that have done robberies, and I know plenty, they don't have, with people they don't know, they don't have animosity like that. You just got that day. That's just been my experience. It's no, they looking at you all like, but for him to say they like grimmed him down and stuff, that's what made me feel like, do you know them or don't you know them? Because I've just never seen that. I'm not saying it can't happen. I personally have never experienced with a robbery that it's just been personal. Usually if they're a robbery, they done staged you out. You know, they listen, I'm gonna tell y'all this story when I got robbed. So y'all know I'm from the D. So when I was in middle school, I think it was middle school, we had just moved over in the area. We lived off of 7 Mile. So we just moved over in the area, and the people started getting hit in our neighborhood, like started getting robbed. So they watch your house, they watch your schedule, and when we went to school and my mom went to work, they would hit our house. And these jokers were so bold. They came back when they left stuff. Like when we went back to work or school or whatever the next week, they came back till they would get what they left. Like they broke in our house like 3 times until they got everything they wanted. And the crazy part is the guy around the corner, this is how I know that a lot of this stuff don't be personal. He tried to talk to me, y'all. Dude tried to talk to me. I go over to this man's house. He got my stereo in his house. He got my TV in the house. He got all this stuff in the house. But you just like, do you realize it was him and somebody else that did it? So maybe he didn't understand. Like this chick, I got him. And I'm like, where'd you get that TV from? So like, you had to watch our house to know when nobody was there. But you still was bold enough to be like, oh, I think she kind of fly. So I'm going to still try to talk to her, even though I done stole her little TV out the room. That's when they had the knob. So you had to take the knob. The knob came out, and I knew it was my TV because the knob was missing. I had fingernail polish on it. Then my mother, she had a stereo back in the day. You know how you had the stereo and you had the 2 speakers, and she had a bunch of praise music, like Hosanna music that they used to have back in the day. That man had our tapes. He had everything in our house. So I've just, even from my personal experience, I've just never seen it like where it was personal. It was always just like, oh, they got something I want, I'm about to take it and I'm going to sell it or I'm going to pawn it. So yeah, let me catch up in the comments. Oh, y'all got a whole lot of comments. Oh man, let me try to start at the bottom. I'm sorry if I missed your comments. I was telling my story. Oh, y'all, I got some stories. I'm telling y'all. I'm like, and then basically said, well, if you date me, I'll get your stuff back. What? Detroit dudes are bold. Do you hear me? Okay. I read somewhere that one of the suspects was caught reenacting a crime or something to that effect. Yes, I heard that as well. He stated that he's around gang members. I fear there's a connection there. I think that's what he's trying to say. Because his thing was, if you watch the press conference, he was trying to say that he's outside all the time. So if you know I'm outside all the time, then why did you do this? Why would you do this in the church? So now he's utilizing this to say, well, all the pastors need to come together because now they're trying to have an attack on the church. You said, I think it's stretching about they put a gun to the baby's head. Sounds like that was by report only. Yeah, child. I have some stories messing with them Detroit dudes. They are whole different. Hey Kyrie. Pam, you know he knows I'm the chief apostle, right? Reverend Daddy Richard. Kyrie, you are crazy. You said it's personal and he may not have known them, but the person who sent them gave them a job to do. I blind plenty of niggas up nothing. See what I'm saying? Keela, I'm not gonna tell your story because my sister was over there in Brooklyn before God changed her life. She got stories too. There is a picture of the robber taking things from him, holding the gun and thumb and index finger not on the trigger. Yeah, I saw that where one blogger did a close up and showed that. Exactly. That's probably why the reporter kept circling back to that point. And did you guys see the actual press conference? So to me, his demeanor seemed a bit off to me. I kind of was paying attention to how he was looking. It just seemed a little off. And then he really got upset towards the end because he felt like I'm still trying to shift the narrative and you guys still are like, which I think is a legitimate question. Okay, since this happened, we all know everybody has the freedom to purchase what they want to, but that's like a lot of people. If you know you have a $100,000 wedding ring on, like who is this gonna go out and wear that $100,000 wedding ring? We don't do that here. Like you might put on just a band. That's what I've done. Like, no, my wedding ring is too expensive to be just wearing out, in anywhere with a crowd of people or for people to eye me and know that I have it. So I think that's what they were trying to get at, but he got upset. You guys are still worried about what over in the Carolinas, they didn't have any jewelry and they still got robbed. Yeah, but they got killed. That was like a hate crime. That was a whole different situation. They specifically targeted you, is what it sounds like, and what the NYPD suspects. They targeted you because of what you had on. So I think it was a legitimate question. Now, when my man was like, well, what type of watch you have on now? I think he was being a little like, he was kind of being a little shady. He was being a tad bit shady. But if you listen to the way he said, I don't know them, so it was like he was trying to convince us versus just. But you remember, if you guys look at my video that I did with one of the people that claimed that he owes him money from the campaign worker, he said he didn't know him in the first article. Now, he acknowledged he knew him in the second article that they did when it got picked up by the New York Post. He acknowledged he knew him. But that other first article, when he came on, when we first knew who he was, he said he didn't know him either. And then I had to show y'all the video. So that's why I was like, And for them, the only rob him and his wife, come on, he knows them and it's deeper. Pay attention to when he tells them to snitch and tell who sent them. He knows who did, and he wants the sender off the street he owes. That's interesting. Very interesting observation. They already had Lamar's jewelry by the time they robbed the wife. Motive for gun on baby doesn't make sense. Hey Deb, thank you for coming over. He is playing them off. I wanted to be famous, so that's why he did it. He gonna get caught for sure. Well, the feds, trust me, the feds know what they're doing. I just wanted to let you guys know that they fitted under the Hobbs Act. You guys were correct. You can also do state. which is what we all presumed that it would be, the NYPD. But they said they have a task force where they connect with the feds, with the ATF, to try to help locate these people, I guess, for resource purposes. A lot of police departments have task force. Like here we have task force where Detroit may link up with somebody from the suburbs, and they all have these task force that they're on for certain areas like drugs or whatever it may be. So, and he said his wife was not there because she's still scared. You can't say that you don't care if people don't want you to come preach at their church. You just came for the arch and now you want people to stand aside and sing kumbaya, make it make sense. Yeah, there's actually a few churches that I watched on prior videos that he's kind of went at. And so to say now we want, I guess he's trying to find a way to come together, and he just doesn't know how, you know. Yesterday he said that he never seen them before. A while after the robbery, he said he saw their faces even though they were masks. Yes, he did say he followed them, and he said, I know what you guys look like. But I guess he can say, I just said I know what they look like. That doesn't mean I know them personally. There was a photo on Google that shows the robber standing beside him while he was preaching. What? Really? Send that to me. I don't know what that is. That robbery with the feds are gonna lock up. But we'll see. That's Deb's opinion, y'all. I don't want y'all coming after me over here on this channel. We just trying to go over the facts and the law. I'm good. Thank you for asking. I hope you're doing well. He was about to fight he got mad. I was like, oh, he about to lose it. And then shortly thereafter, now, one of the things too is having attorneys with you just to go watch somebody get arraigned. I thought that was a bit different. He's scared. They asked what kind of watch he was wearing. Yep. Since she is a victim, they will both testify if it goes to trial. Now, I would have to know exactly what the judge said, because there was conversation about plea deals. And people were asking why are they already pleading. I don't know if there was a conversation on the judge asking about it. I would have to get more context to know. But I heard somebody say like the judge gave a window for pleading. I've never heard of that, because I've had people plea close to trial. I've had people plead before we even got, like, as soon as I found motions, they were like, oh, I can't take this. Because some people really do just, they, you have people that plead because they just know that there's enough evidence against them, and they show, because the feds show you some of the evidence they have against you when they bring you in. And they give you a chance to basically confess. So they kind of show you. So it may be that he sees that there's evidence against them, so they're pleading. It could just be that they don't want to go to trial, or they're nervous about trial. I don't know. I would have to get more information as to why that even came. Hey, Eve, Andre, how are you? We definitely don't do that in Michigan. His wife just disappeared. She deleted her Instagram and has been on camera as I've seen in weeks. She's still on Instagram, honey. You might have got blocked, Cassie, because she's still on Instagram every morning. What attorney allows their client to talk so much? Well, he mentioned the one that was doing the civil cases that did it against Jives and Larry. He mentioned those individuals, and said that he wasn't there. And then this other attorney that was with him, I guess he says that's his main attorney. So I don't know why why does he keep trying to drag the Muslims and Jews on the standing with him? For numbers, to try to stand in numbers, I would presume. He said some of it was insured, however, part of it was not, because it was new jewelry. That's what he said. Yeah. This was no random robbery. He set his own self up. That's Cynthia's opinion. Y'all don't come for me. It was a legitimate question, though, because he says, why would he be upset with answering that question? Yeah. I don't know, because but first he said 3 to 4 robbers, so I don't know. That's why I said the indictment. I've seen indictments with more information. This one was kind of vague. It literally put enough in there to show you that it falls under the Hobbs Act. That's why I was specific that it was different people from different states. It was specifics about the offering, that no offering was taken. It had all these specifics in it, so it almost put all the elements to let them know they had probable cause for the indictment. It did go before the grand jury, so they felt like it was enough, to bring the charges. So he said he is the Chief Apostle, Right Reverend Dr. Lamore Miller Whitehead. That's what he said. I think he turned them because he asked for his stuff and could not get it. Well, any chance that he gets, he's like, you guys always want to know this, but he wants people in the media, and you can't control the media. The media could either make you or break you. That's the truth. So he wants people to do the narrative more. This is the first time I've been hearing lately about the district attorney that was over his case was indicted, and I don't know if he was convicted. I can't recall if he said that, but I guess he was indicted himself. But he's never really said that he did his case wrong. He just kind of said, but you guys don't want to talk about him being indicted, and he was the one that was over my case, the one that was indicted. You're not going to talk about the search warrant. Like, any chance he gets, or talk about his father and how the police did his father. Like, it's the same story, and they don't print it. If you notice and look in the paper, they really don't print any of that, because everybody kind of heard it before and looked it up, maybe. But yeah, I don't know anything about this DA that he mentioned yesterday. I might have to look into it. When he brings up Pope, he's shady because he white, can wear $50,000 robe. He black man can't wear $1,000,000 jewelry. He got cobbling. He says that's wrong. Um, well, making some valid points, Pam. He sure did lie to the Hellgate reporter about knowing me. He did. He definitely did. And we put that up. And I just put one piece of evidence on that. So then by the next report, he had to at least acknowledge it and come up with a different story. Ooh, y'all moving fast. Federal prison is a penthouse compared to state prison. They'll only serve 85% of their time if convicted, good behavior, school, etc. Yeah, that depends. It is better. The prisons are better, but I mean, prison for anybody is bad. I don't care if it's federal, state. Nobody wants to go to prison. Tell them when to get up, when not to get up, when to eat, when not to eat. Like, but I get it, federal, like for the women, they call it cupcake camp and all of that. Like, they literally do have brochures, because I have a friend that went to federal prison, and before she went, they was talking about they had yoga classes. I'm like, what? But then when she went, it was in Virginia. It was the same one that Martha Stewart went to. A lot of people here in this area end up going there to that camp. But yeah, it's but when they go there, it's a lot of issues. Medically, they don't really take care of you oftentimes. That was her testimony. It was a lot of things that when she actually went, that was horrible. Like, it make you want to, try to do what you can for reform for those that's there for 6 and 7 months. Oh, thank you. Yeah, apparently she's supposed to be an attorney to the celebrities. He has someone to record him walking out of the building. He did do that. And why is there no mention of the third suspect? I'm thinking he's the one that's gonna rat. They just said they haven't apprehended him yet. If the federal charge doesn't stick and they get off, I knew somebody was gonna ask that question. And I knew it was gonna be you, Ray Bishop, with your super smart self. You're thinking of double jeopardy, huh? I didn't realize that the Fed gets billed for this type of charge. Yep. There is a in this case, I think because one of the young men, if I recall correctly, had like a domestic violence. And I think that may have been the extent of his record. Then the other young man allegedly had a catalog. So the one young man immediately got bond. I guess the other young man had to do an application. So I'm assuming he had a bond hearing. When I went online, I couldn't see who their attorneys were, and it didn't show the action. It did show the indictment today because it was like closed off yesterday. But I have to see what the Register of Action says on whether he got a bond hearing, because somebody told me that he was going to be out on bond, but I don't know how true that is. Y'all hit the like button, please, and subscribe. Welcome to all the new subscribers. I've gotten a lot of new subscribers in the last couple of days. Welcome, welcome, welcome. You mods, you see any new people in here, make sure you welcome them. We get a little deep over here, but I tried looking on my other page and couldn't find her. Girl, let me pull this up. Because, girl, I'm going to show you, Cassie, you was blocked. I think you was blocked. Let me see. Because she will block you. Yeah, honey, you was blocked. So, ooh, y'all. That is not nice, CBBJ. Yes, they pleaded not guilty. Or they may have stood mute and the judge entered in a plea. I try to give him the benefit of the doubt. He just isn't likable to me. I don't know something about him. I just don't. And that's kind of like what I was saying. Like people talking about you guys need to apologize for not believing him. But see, this shows the importance of your integrity. When your integrity has already been deemed questionable. Like I told people all the time, people get mad at me. You can call me out my name. You call me BITCHs. I don't care what you call me. But when you try to come at my integrity, and you guys to see that in my comments when I go back and try to comment on the people that watch the replay, you come after my integrity and my character and say like I'm disloyal. I'm just, you shouldn't believe me. I'm untrustworthy. Things that come after my integrity, oh, you gonna get a reaction. Typically, I'm like, whatever, okay, you don't like me, she ugly, whatever, that's cool. But when you come after my integrity, because that goes a long way, that means that's gonna always follow me. So he's trying to almost reinvent himself. And technically, I am one that agrees that if you've done your time, you've done your time, and that was some people's stance. The issue was, what did you do after your time? I've seen some of the best preachers that have of when they was the dealers in the state, or who they used to beat up. They'd have been burnt, stabbed. They've been shot. They've been in gangs. Those are the best testimonies, and they're the ones that go from school to great testimony. It's just, but what did you? They did something with it and utilized it to help others to prevent them from. Now, once you get out, people watch what you're going to do with it after the fact. So people were on you about some of the suspect things that it looked like you may or may not have been doing. And so that's why people didn't believe you. And some people broke the video down and just said it looked faulty. That was their assessment of it. You can't ask for public opinion. After the robbery, you didn't have to come out and talk to nobody. You didn't have to do one interview, but that's what you chose to do. So you can't ask for public opinion and get pissed off when people in the public give their opinion. Because that's what it is. It's an opinion. We wasn't there. Nobody really knows. And he has to know that all this is opinion. It can't be, nobody knew at the time. Everybody was speculating. You invited us into this situation and scenario. And then when people got into it and started talking about it, you kind of got mad. Because what you wanted is for us to talk about, well, dang, he was wrongfully convicted. Dang, he's a victim. Like you wanted to control what people talked about, but you can't do that with the media. You got to take the whole media for what it is. That's why, like I said before, when it came to my clients, I've done plenty of high profile cases, including high profile murder cases. But because I know how the media works and how they spin what you say and how they might cut stuff out and add stuff in, I don't deal with the media. It's one one paper around here that I'll deal with because I know what they're gonna say. Because they tell me before they print it. But other than that, you either choose you want to be in the paper or you want to be on TV all the time and you take whatever they give you or whatever they talk about because you're adding these people. It's not like they coming for you. You're adding them on all of your comments, on your videos, you're adding them. But then when they don't say what you want them to say, you get pissed off. Like that's not how the media works. And you should know that. Cassie, you said you was probably talking. That's probably it, sis. I don't say nothing. I just look like, oh, okay. He keeps changing the number of robbers like a person. It's like five of them. Stop the madness. Well, no, I think because he said they caught all three. If you caught the video when he first in the morning said that they caught the robbers, so I don't know. Maybe he was had misinformation because they immediately came out and said they caught two of the three. Y'all, we just gotta sit back and watch and see what happens. I'm trying to get you guys to have open minds. It's so easy to look at what the media says or even look at what he says and all of that. We just have to have open minds. So hopefully you guys know like why it went federal because I know we all had speculations. But I do believe that as a good defense attorney they'll probably challenge the validity of it. Yeah. Oh goodness. Y'all talking about his daddy. Y'all got a lot of stuff going on. Yeah, he was definitely and he was convicted too. He had another New York case aside from the one that he went and did all that time for, and he had one in New Jersey. So even just let's just say we eliminate that and say they had falsified all the documents and you were not guilty and they did you wrong. It still doesn't absolve the other issues. Oh, ooh, Keela, you about to have folks mad at you, girl. He refuses to admit his wrong in anything that he has been proven guilty on. That is correct. Oh, there are more privileges in federal, I heard. Yep. Yep. Yoga. Yes, girl. They had spin class and the brochure. They had a brochure like you was going away to, like a really great camp. Like you're just almost, they had spas. That's what they had in the brochure. Now, when she got there, it was a totally different thing. What does he mean by he doesn't collect a salary from his congregation? He's not on payroll. Like they don't have to pay him every week. Now that doesn't mean I think I've seen videos where they've taken love offerings or I don't know. Oh, so she's Takashi 6ix9ine attorney. That makes sense because wasn't he a part of his church as well? And I'm so late on the comments. I know I'm trying to get to them. So they choose people who got nothing to lose. Hi, new here. Where's the videotape from the robbery? He put the one where he was choking the girl very quickly. Hey, and welcome over here. We're glad to have you guys. Have to all welcome her. He said that he couldn't release it, I guess, because of the investigation. But what's interesting to me is just a week ago, he dragged the NYPD and said that they believe that he was involved in the robbery and he felt like that they weren't taking his case seriously because they thought he was involved. Did you guys catch that? That's what's interesting to me. I told you people like to hear facts enough. Thank you. I just want you guys to keep it open because I get it. You may not like him, but I think that we become more credible people. We become more trustworthy people when we look at everything. When we look at everything, we know how to evaluate everything. Let's be clear, this was not his church. It was a place he was renting or leasing. A property owner must provide the renters with a contract, right? I would presume that it was contractual unless he knew the lady. You know, some people don't always use contracts, but I would presume so, yes. And I get what you're saying that it's not a church as far as a physical building that's solely used for purposes of church, but there are a lot of people that do use churches. Some people start church in their home. Bishop Marvin Wine is here, started church in his house. We have Jay Moss, who is what the cousin of the Sheards. He started in a school. He started in Cass High School. So a lot of people do start it in buildings outside of our traditional church setting. And as long as the Holy Ghost comes in, I guess it doesn't matter what building it is. As long as the Holy Ghost is coming in. Good evening, Linda. Thank you, Andre. Mr. Andres. Oh, you were just watching The Wife this morning? Exactly. It's not questioning my intentions. This is where the problem comes into play. Yes. Yes. He mad because so many preachers told him to step. They probably, I saw the video and I don't think Jives even realized that he had videos of this man before this year. But last year he was going in on his wife, his ex-wife, excuse me, and not letting him see his kids and all of that. If you guys haven't seen that, you might want to check that out. And he was talking about the preachers and if they don't keep his name out of their mouth and he's going to start calling out names. I mean, he was going in. And I'm like, okay, so before any of this, he was having issues in the clergy community, it appeared, because he was going in. Then we have the video where with DMX, when DMX passed away, I guess AR Bernard, that's why I think he kept mixing up Bernard Jordan and AR Bernard when he was going off last week trying to with the whole Larry scenario. Um AR Bernard allegedly said that he didn't want him at the service of DMX because he was supposed to read the obituary, if I recall correctly. You guys can correct me if I'm wrong, or anybody that knows him, because I don't want to give inaccurate information. But apparently in the video, that's what occurred, that he said. So you've had all these bumping of heads, and he gives the reasonings why. And a lot of it deals it. He said that AR Bernard didn't want him there because of his record. That just seemed a little iffy to me because I personally knew DMX, and we all know I met DMX when I was in law school because he was trying to get me to go to take the bar in Arizona because that's where he was living, and he was like he in trouble all the time and he gonna need an attorney. But everybody know DMX probably is one of the smartest people I've ever met. He knows the Bible backwards and forward, but we know he had an addiction problem and he continuously got in trouble. He had a catalog, as we know, of felonies. I think when I met him, he said he had 9 or 10 felonies. By the time and that was like, whew, when I met him in '09, maybe '08. And so I doubt that you wouldn't be able to come because of your past record. Because there's nothing but a bunch of past records that was probably at that funeral. That's just a thought. But that's what he said, that people don't want to be around him because of his past. But there are a lot of anointed pastors that have a past. And again, their past helps them to relate. Because people that haven't been through stuff, you like, oh, okay, you did everything perfectly. Oh, okay. Those are the ones a lot of people turn their ear to. It's the ones that's been through things that give you the faith that you can get through it too. It's the ones that go through things that have been behind bars that can tell you that ain't no place that you want to go. So I think it's more of a testimony if you utilize it correctly and truthfully instead of running from it. And I think if he would have realized that, he would have been a better off. Yes, a lot of stuff is I don't know that person. Donald Trump did that as well all the time. I don't. It's kind of the same strategy. I don't know that person, or then you talk about the person. I tried to help them. I tried to do this. They're just a nobody. He can't in the morning. He's exposed to someone allegedly in the afternoon. He loved you with the love of Jesus. Pick a side. Well, he said he's back to his bishopric now that the now that the robbers have been captured. He said yesterday he's back into the seat of the bishop. So maybe he's done being a blogger. My grandma used to say your name will go further than you will ever go. Yes, very, very important to me. Like I said, I've been called out my name. I've sat there like, oh, okay. And I've looked at you like this. But man, oh man, when you start questioning like my integrity, and I went off on attorneys for that, like trying to say, oh, well, she said that she gave me the date that the judge did it, but that the judge told her to give me, but she really didn't. Things like that, like I lied, or affidavits I've had to do for court, and you try to like insinuate that I lied. Oh, I've let them have it, and judges will tell them like, oh, she does not play about her integrity. She will love on you. We be usually I'm friends with usually the other. My clients can't stand it half the time because I'm usually friends with the person I go against. It's a job. We'll go like head to head in court and then go meet for lunch. Like it's not that personal. It's a job. But man, when you get some of these attorneys where they trying to make partner, so their whole way of building up is to try to tear you down. Oh, they come for the jugular and try to come after your integrity and your work product, your work ethic, just everything. You said no apologies from you, huh? Well, I think he needs to apologize to the NYPD. Why are we talking about apologies? And then also it has to be recognized. A lot of people, you had some people that talked about the robbery and they thought it was fake. But I don't think that was the crux of what people were really looking at. It was about why would you wear all that jewelry? Why does your church look this way? Like they were just it didn't make sense to a lot of people. Like how artists have why are you pulling up in the Rolls Royce and your church is like that? Like those were the things a lot of people were saying. Now there were some people who said, yeah, I don't believe this. I believe it was fake or whatnot. But I think the majority of it was other stuff. Uh Goodness. I'm not even gonna put that up. You guys I'm trying not to get in your conversations because some of you guys are going at it with each other in this good chat. Yes. You said both of them have a block in ministry. That is true. What did he say? I am so glad of the gift of block. It was funny when the reporter asked the question he didn't like, he would not answer. Hey, Denise. I want you guys with what I told you though, because that was the intent of the live. Now that you know what the statute says and you were able to compare what it said to the indictment, that's what they're using. Anybody near Naples? I know a mom who is looking for diapers for her toddler. Anybody near Naples? We like to bless people over here. Open minds are fine, but he is not very likable and pathetic. You don't have to like them. You know what I'm saying? Like it's people that don't like me personally. They may not like me, but they have to give me my props for what I do. Yes, that's true. I go for the paperwork. Him with the falsifying documents. Sounds like Trump didn't ain't that what Trump said? He did just say that. They planted documents and the judge gave him a couple of weeks to prove that. The feds planted documents. What? I had a I had a family member that went to federal court, I mean to federal prison, and he had cell phones and stuff, and he got in trouble for that. So I guess it depends on where you are, what they allow you. But they make their own liquor and all that stuff in there. So you have to know that as well. Like they learn how to make gourmet dishes in the microwave. Because I have a few people I know that were wrongfully convicted that just recently got out, and some of the food they make, you like, oh my goodness. And he decided to put up a reward. He did. I wonder if somebody got the reward. What you guys think? You think somebody got that $50,000 that he helped in capturing them? No one in their right mind will take him seriously after all the food, and she wants to have a church and be in the mix of LR and Bishop Bernard. He is the one talking and spewing all the filth. Oh. Hey, co-counsel, how are you? Good to see you. I said co-counsel, girl, sister counsel. I'm not sure why he continues to bring up the case of the murder of the church members in Charleston to what happened to him. What he doesn't understand, that was a crime of racism. Yes, there was a big difference. They didn't try to break in and take anything. It's not even, it's apples and oranges. Well, he said he's going to release the video in the next week or week and a half. He just couldn't before. Yes, welcome to all the new subscribers. Thank you. I try to got it. Can't have one without the other, man. It says, "Seek ye first the kingdom of God, and all else will be added unto it." So that's the first thing you have to do. You said, did he incriminate himself by saying the lady scratched herself when there's proof that she didn't? What proof that she didn't? And hopefully I can get to your comment because it's 100 of them in here. I didn't know of any proof that she didn't scratch herself. I didn't know that there was anything that showed how it happened. I kind of assumed, which obviously I don't have facts on, but I assumed that maybe it was his ring that may have, scratched her. But plot twist, this was strategically orchestrated by the feds to corner and catch the right Reverend Dr. Doolittle. Oh, yes. To a degree, because he did get caught. He wasn't. They did say that the scheme, the identity theft was one of the biggest schemes at that time that they saw in Suffolk County. But that's what the prosecutor labeled it as. Yes, it did. I am from the D. I believe he told the news he found the robbers and he went into court case for someone else. Most court cases you're able to sit in. A church and event was temporary. Yes, he said he was building a church, but I haven't seen anyone that actually said they saw the church that he's building. Well, I don't think he's told us where it's at. Yep, he dragged the police department, but police department don't want any dealings when folks have pending federal cases. Yep, he was pissed off. You knew DMX too, and your husband is the president. Oh, okay. Now you know how DMX used to pray, and you be sitting there holding hands for an hour. That's why I said he was one. He had the tattoo and it said Jesus saves when you turned it one way and the other way. He was such a good cat. It was just, man, that addiction is no joke. Pray for people with addiction, man. A.R. Bernard said he brings negative media coverage. Pam, you are awesome with what you do. Your perspective is very professional. I salute you. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. They didn't like who? The bishop? Are you coming with some stuff today? Okay. Kyrie said it's not his record. They just don't like him. That's what I don't believe it's his record because I'm telling you, if you know DMX and all the stuff he did, yes, we miss him so much. He was really cool, cool peeps. I wish everybody could have met DMX, and that's like the truth. That is the truth. He would pray with you. He would put them scriptures out. Now I couldn't hang with him or nothing because they out all night long. I couldn't do all that. Which is crazy because if you are a bishop, you don't get out of the seat of the bishop. Just shows he called himself. Ooh, wow. Bishop Whitehead needs to apologize to the NYPD. Yes, he definitely. I agree with that. I need him to apologize to his daughter and everyone else for continuing to wear his daughter's pink glasses. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry if I didn't get to your comments, but it's just so many of y'all. I'm trying to get through here. Thank you, Patrice. I love you guys so much. This is like the best. Let's have 99 points. They do have a high conviction rate. They really do. Now I know a couple of people that didn't beat, over in these parts, but they do have a high conviction rate. That's why most people plea. But that's the same thing with state court. Only like 5% goes to trial. Like typically I go to trial maybe once a year. When I did criminal, you pretty much always went to trial when it came to murder cases. But aside from that, let me see what Jazz wants. Hello? I'm live. Huh? Oh no, I'll call you back. Mhm. I thought he wanted something. He was just on the live, so he knows that I'm live. I thought he was gonna tell me something that he didn't get some information while I was on here. Pam, why did ATF call to tell him they caught the guys? Whether they black? Why did they black out the third defendant? Because he hasn't been arrested yet. So that's why they black out. Usually indictments stay sealed until they actually arrest them and bring them in. So they had the indictment. I think they said September 20th, and they didn't get arrested the two until yesterday. So that's kind of how the feds move. They're very, very secretive. You may have an indictment and don't even know it. Um, and they probably called him and told him because they usually do tell the victims. That's another conversation we had when he said they're not giving him information on anything because he's the victim. No, you're like really the first person that they you're the first person they call almost when they have a suspect in custody. Yeah, hit the like and subscribe and the share. If you guys are enjoying the content, because you guys really made me work on today with this Hobbs Act. Guys, please like if you guys like this commentary today. What up, though? That's the Detroit thing. That's how we greet each other. I don't know if he really put up 50K. I don't know who would have it. How could we confirm or deny the 50K? I don't know if we can. Are you saying his church is in the same place where he owns the block? Why did they allow the guys to post bond? Well, bond is typically discretionary and there's certain factors that they weigh. I don't know. I heard the second guy was going to post bond, but I'm not sure. Somebody told me that. So I don't have any documentation, no news report. So if anybody has that, DM me. That's my Instagram at pam.s. ESQ. Y'all keep me updated. Cause I do work a lot. That's why I was telling them. I was like, I understand it. Like, but you said you were gonna go over the indictment yesterday. I was like, yeah, I had to do some work. I literally my whole morning I'm sitting here waiting on this press conference and what happens in court and all of that good stuff. And he didn't. If he said he didn't scratch her, he doesn't have any nails. She did have some of those beads in her braids, and maybe when he grabbed her, one of those beads cut her. See, there's so many alternatives to that scratch. I agree, but we don't know. We don't know what scratched him. I don't. It may not have been. It was kind of the way it was. I don't even think it was nails that did it. It had to be an object of some sort, is what I would guess. You guys, I told my daughters DMX was a praying man. He was. He was. DMX had a calling on his life, and it didn't require him to have a title or a pulpit. The enemy knew it and did everything possible to make sure he couldn't fulfill it. That's a word right there. And that's what I told him. It was like, man, it was the constant attack, and he knew it. It wasn't like he do it. And DMX was going to go to law school. A lot of people didn't know that. And he had a full scholarship for college. A lot of people don't know that. He's very, very smart. Like I literally went over he taught me the Constitution when I was in law school. Like sitting there, it was like this dude really know the Constitution like the back of his hand. It was crazy. And then like before he performed, if you went to any of his performances, if he's the last or the headliner, he's going to perform until the lights go out. But before you go on stage, you're going to pray. If you're walking by, you're going to pray. He never, ever tried to fake the funk that his help did not come from God. Never, ever. Told everybody every chance that he got. Every chance he got. Knew the Bible backwards and forwards. Every chance that he got. Miss that guy. Yes. Look, now we talking about DMX. We don't went from the bishop to DMX. I hope they arrest him in October. That would be a great break. You did you? I'm like, where you get October 17th from? Alice, is something you want to tell me? But you said it's your birthday. I got it. She has something in her hair, I think. Yeah, they said the beads. Okay. Well, y'all, we over an hour. We don't even stay on here this long. So thank you guys for hanging out with me. Do you guys feel like you have a better understanding on why it was in federal court, no matter how, you might not agree with it, but at least you have an understanding as to why the NYPD said that they, in their press conference, why it was under the Hobbs Act, and actually looking at the Hobbs Act and then looking at the fact pattern that was in the indictment. Do you guys understand it better? Just tell me yes. Put a smiley face or something so I can feel like I've done my job. Thank you guys for the cash apps. I appreciate it. If you guys, it's $ PAMESQ. I don't ask for cash apps. I usually just end up giving it away or giving it back, as people will probably tell you. But I'll take the blessings, all this work y'all had me do today. Buy myself dinner tonight. Thank you. Oh, I'm glad you guys got it. Thank you so much. Oh, I didn't say that. Jeff said that. Thank you. Thank you, Kimberly Henderson. I appreciate it. The prosecutor. Oh, child. I don't even have the demeanor of a prosecutor. So no. I don't think like a prosecutor. Like prosecutors, they get their mindset on one thing and then they kind of go for it. With me, I'm always looking at both sides. So I don't know. I think a lot of people, I'll tell them, my friends that are prosecutors, I knew in law school they would be prosecutors the way they thought. So I don't know if I would be good at that. I'll be I'll be on there telling people, telling them like, oh, maybe it wasn't their fault. Maybe this and that. I would suck as a prosecutor. Can we the deals I've done have been, I have great relationship with prosecutors because I'm that person, and people that know, that like know me, maybe they'll come on here and tell you, like the prosecutors I've dealt with. My whole thing is I try to make people not get a record. That's my thing. They don't want to go to jail. That's all they think about. Can I get probation when I did criminal? Can I get probation? I'm like, no, we need some type of strategy and some type of an offer where at the end, if you do what's supposed to be done, they dismiss these charges because you don't want to have a felony. So yeah, all my thing is always so you can have a second chance in life. So I wouldn't be a good prosecutor. I'm too liberal. Yeah, Paul, I do have Zelle, but yeah, it's only, I only have it through my business, so I don't do anything through my actual firm. Dev is actually in I don't know what time. He must be about to come on now. He's in North Carolina. His daughter, the oldest daughter is in college and it's parent weekend. So he didn't know I was going live. He's not here. So yeah, thank you for the cash apps. Thank y'all. But all right, you guys feel complete. I love each and every last one of you guys. And we'll do this again real soon. I promise you. If something else happens, I'll come back on. I promise. If you guys want to send me any inboxes or over on Instagram, send me the DMs if you guys have any new information, because I don't stay as connected with it because I work a lot. So, but you guys keep me on it, all the emails with all the arguments and all of that stuff. So I hope I did this justice and you guys have a better understanding. We kind of had to go through this together because I had never done anything under the Hobbs Act, but now I know what it is too. So anyway, I love each and every one of you guys, and I will holler at you next time.